Hello, Melinda. It's so good to see you. Welcome back to Tranquility du Jour.
Hello, Kimberly. It has been a long time, and I am so pleased to be with you again today.
Now, viewers, because I know listeners won't be able to tell this, but you may recognize Melinda as a former model for TDJ. And yeah, so it's such a delight to have you here and to see you again. We are talking midlife, obviously, today. And I would love to hear how you feel that your perspective has shifted during your midlife journey, your perspective really of life and I think also what's important, what really matters.
Yeah. I think it hit me that I truly was in midlife when I was in grad school, because I did grad school much later when I was like, oh, now I know what I want to do and be. And I was working with a professor, and she was commenting on a paper that I had written in a project that I had done. And she said, oh, you're really embracing this time in your life and being again, just like you, I'm having this mental, like, where is my word of being the wisdom carrier and being the one carrying forth and that. And I was like, what is she talking about? I'm not at that stage. And I'm not going to think about that now. And I let it just sit. And then I realized, you know what? It's true. I've slid into that. And I want to carry that torch and hold it high because it helps everyone coming behind me. And it made me think about all the people before me that have helped me along the way as well. I think that it snuck up on me, but I have embraced it and I am enjoying it with immense pleasure now.
What do you think helped that? Because I think a lot of people resist the aging process. And so to say that you've embraced it, which actually leads me to my next question, like I'm curious, how have you learned to embrace it? Because there are many challenges, right? Brain fog. I was like, did I tell you this or not? And you're like, what's the word? So it's funny, but it's also a bit challenging. And
Yeah.
so I'm just curious, how have you navigated that?
I think it helps a lot being around others similar who have gone before, who are coming behind, and you feel like I'm not alone. This happens to everyone. It is not just me. And it's something that you can't necessarily control all of, and just to lean into it and navigate it with grace because everybody's going to get hit with it at some point. And it's better if they see an example of how to do that gracefully than trying to fight it all the way and still enjoy life and go, you know what, that just happened and let's keep going because otherwise you'll just sit and wallow and that's not gonna serve anyone.
But I think what you said too is like everyone goes through this, right? What came to mind to me is if we're lucky. Do you know what I mean? Because
Mm, yes.
it really is a gift that we are aging. Is not everyone gets this opportunity. And not to be Pollyanna about it, but really is. And I think one thing about once you hit around the 50-ish mark, wherever, that you start to realize, wow, I've probably been on this earth longer than I will be. And it's just, wow, not probably, very probably. And there's something about that I think just ignites a reminder to not wait.
Yeah, and my mother also said that too. She had pancreatic cancer and succumbed to that at a relatively young age in her mid 70s. And that was one of the last things she said to me. Don't wait. So we're always thinking, oh, when I get older, when I reach this point, I'll do this or I'll start that. And all of a sudden, you're past the point where maybe it's feasible to do something or it even makes sense or and then you might look back with a little bit of regret, but at the time it wasn't the right thing, so that's okay. But if it's still something you want to achieve, go for it. Don't If it comes to mind, go ahead and reach for it. And that was one of the things that stuck with me the most, and I think that was one of the last things she tried to tell me. Don't wait, do the things that you want or at least attempt them and adjust if that doesn't work out. That's okay, but at least you made an attempt.
Yeah. How has that influenced the way you've lived your life since she passed?
Yeah, it's made a huge difference. I think about that often because if I think back on her and then I'm like, there were things that she really wanted to do, and there are things that I really want to do. And I think I sit and prioritize things a little more and I reflect more on the things that I have done. And is it time to let that go? I've done it. Or maybe my dreams and hopes have adjusted slightly as time has gone by. And some of the things that I'm always like, I'm waiting for, I really don't want to achieve anymore. And just being mindful of taking a little bit of time to reflect back and also what I would like to envision for the future as well.
Well, and that leads me to my next question, really around creativity and passion, which I know you have many, right? You have many creative passions. And I knew you, I think, first, right, when you were a belly dancer. And then, you garden and you make products, and there's all these fun things that you do. You sew, right? So I'd love to hear a bit about your creative evolution in midlife and anything that you think would be helpful for our listeners to hear about honoring their own.
Yeah, I've been a creative soul from day one. It was instilled in my family. Everyone is creative in some way, and it was always encouraged. And for me, doing that is continues on. And there are things that I had put aside to do work or family or other creative passions. And I've revisited some of those and I've thought about what about trying this new thing or whatever. So I'm always looking at what fits me now or what's calling to me now. And just because I thought it was something that I might want to move forward in, does it really fit me now that I am at a place where I can explore it? Or is there something else that's really calling to me? So I sort of listen to what I really feel is calling to me at the moment, not so much I wanted to, or I should have, or this opportunity may never come again. It might not be right for me now, even if it may never come again. So I try to embrace what truly calls to me because as you mentioned, you start to realize I only have so much time. So what would I really want to do going forward? And along that line, I have, which I never did when I was younger, I'll stop halfway through a book or stop halfway through a project. It's not what I thought or what I hoped or what I wanted. I can let that go so that I can make room for something that really does have a connection that I really want to continue through to see to the end. But I don't feel bad if I don't.
Yeah, yeah. That is something I think that's beautiful about midlife is like we let go of those, oh, we should finish that book, should finish that project, or should care what so and so thinks, or should respond to this email that I don't want to respond to. It's like we're just like, yep, not gonna do it. It's
Yeah.
liberating.
Yeah. Yeah. And the funny thing is, especially when it comes to other people, most people are so wrapped up in themselves, they don't even notice that you didn't or whatever. They moved on anyway. If it's really important, they might reach out again. But we worry about what you really want and focus on that.
So where would you say your creative energy is right now? Are you still dancing? Are you still gardening? Are you still making things?
Yes, all of those things. And not dancing as much as I was. I'm dancing not on the stage right now, but that is on my list of things I would like to do when I have more time. But I shifted to more creative things that I can do at home. But I do garden. Gardening is one of the things that keeps me sane. It keeps me outdoors. It is a mindfulness practice as well as a nourishing practice in many ways from the being in nature, resting and while I'm outside and not resting, working out, and as well as just it's one of those holistic practices for me. It's like yoga. It crosses those boundaries and as well as puts really great tasting food on the table at the end of the day.
I always have garden envy when I see your photos on Instagram, and listeners be sure to check out her Instagram handle, which I'll of course have in the show notes. But I'm always like, how does she do all this? I remember I had a little raised bed put out onto my patio and planted all these things and I was so excited. And the only thing I got was like a couple leaves of like lettuce. And it was just like so sad. And then I see yours and I'm like, how is this fair? But I think you have sunlight and I don't really have sunlight. And I think that's important.
That is important. Although lettuce likes it when it's not so sunny, but it is. It's like life. I might want to grow pineapples, but we're not in pineapple area, so I'm not gonna like as much as I want to do that. I could make it happen, but it would be a great cost of resources, and so they're limited. So pick and choose, right? So some things are failures, and other things thrive, and it differs from year to year. It's just like us passing seasons. Some things go do well, and sometimes you want to try again. Things change. It's time to try again, and then sometimes let it go.
Yeah. I go to the farmer's market now instead.
And that's good too. I do all of it. It's all good.
What about for you, the navigating challenges piece? Because no life is without. And so, how have you learned to navigate challenges in midlife? What has been helpful for you on this journey?
I think as I get older, I realize that things aren't all as all encompassing as they felt when I was younger. That those years of experience teach you this might seem devastating now. Eventually, it will get better. We have more tools and more resilience. Often, when we've already weathered something similar, you're like, you know what? It's hard, but I can get through this. I have my resources. I have people I can reach out to, places or whatever tools I need. At least you have some sort of a reference point where, that when you're the first time something hits you, sometimes you're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. And then it just becomes something so overwhelming. For me, at least, it feels like it is easier sometimes to face those challenges.
Yeah. Yeah. And what has been like the most helpful tool for you to face them?
Oh, self-centering. I think
Yeah.
getting when you get really caught up in a swirl or it's very complicated or you feel like you're being blocked at every turn when you're trying to overcome anything, health or any situation, just taking a moment to breathe, get centered and let everything calm down so that you can reconnect to your thoughts and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I know so and so who could help me with this, or I read this, let me go research that. When you're upset and everything is in a swirl, it is very hard to focus no matter what the issue might be or a challenge you're facing.
Absolutely. You know what's important with that is I'll find that clients will share where I know the tool, but I couldn't implement it in that moment because I was so overwhelmed. And it's like when we're so overwhelmed, we can't get the wise mind on board
Mhm.
because the amygdala has so taken over. And so the more we can recognize, okay, this will pass, meaning the intense emotion or what have, and then we can reach out to wise mind and get them back on board and then work with our tools. But in that moment of overwhelm, we can't access them.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And that's where things like just stepping outside into the yard, put my fingers in the dirt or just walk around, just connect to something. Having pets says, okay, just take 5 minutes out and pet the cat, the dog, whatever. Sit with someone and just say, I don't want to talk or whatever. Can you just sit with me for a minute so I can calm down? Usually, if there's someone in your house or around you, they know you're going through something. And people will be happy to do that for you for just a few minutes. They know that you'll reciprocate later. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. There is something about, as you said, hands in dirt, petting a cat, touch. Touch can help to really ground
Mm,
us. And it's so important.
for
Yeah.
sure.
What about as we think about health and wellness, right? So how do
Mhm.
you prioritize your mental health and your physical health?
I think again, as we go through time, we start to pick up on the clues that things are out of balance a little quicker. Sometimes we still try to override them. I do. Oh, just let me push a little bit further. But I try to be on regular schedules, more routine for making sure to get rest because I like to push myself, making sure to make the time to go for your physical checkups and things like that, eating well as often as you can and listening. I'm eating something and I'm like, oh, this is my favorite. And then all of a sudden, I never used to feel this way when I ate it. Maybe I should reevaluate this. Because our bodies are changing, and sometimes you don't realize it until something happens or you try to do something and realize, oh, I don't have the strength or the flexibility that I quite had the last time I did it. And just adjusting. There are other ways to do things. People can help you with things, or you can find other ways to get through those things that need to get done.
Yeah, yeah. It's a good reminder of recognizing that things do change, noticing how certain foods make you feel, or noticing like how certain activities make you feel. Or you may need more time to warm up to certain activities. It's like you don't just start with some really intense yoga pose, like you start with a very basic and slow and gentle sun salutation. So it's just recognizing like our bodies are not quite the same. And how do we work with this?
Yeah. Yeah. And it sneaks up over a season. It was like I'm going to lift up this big bag of compost. I'm like, what am I thinking? you know, help me with this. Go get
Yeah,
somebody to help because it's just what you forget sometimes.
totally. What about kind of career and reinvention? How has that changed for you? Because you mentioned Melinda going back to grad school, kind of midlife, right?
Yes,
And
I
yeah, tell
did.
us about this.
So I had started grad school quite some time ago, and then I had a little health scare, and I was like, "Oh, why am I in grad school? Is this what I want to do?" And then I started to dance. so that's where. And then later, I was like, you know what? I feel like I'm ready to expand and grow in different ways. Now I'm going to pick a grad school program that really speaks to what I want to become moving forward. Because it's still looking forward, as you even though you mentioned maybe we don't have as much going forward as going backwards, but it's still as open as we want it to be or can make it. And so I went to grad school and got a master's in transpersonal psychology, and then added on the coaching, the life and professional coaching skills. So I incorporated that into that gets incorporated coaching gets incorporated into every day, and those things that we learn about psychology and how people think and work and communicate, just it flows across everything without you even thinking about it. But I coach and mentor interns at work, so I added that to. So I've expanded and moved away from some of the things that I was more heavily into, more of the tech and all of that. Although it's there, I've just adjusted it slightly and spending more time working with people, helping to develop people, again, passing on the sort of a legacy kind of thing. So it's helping others develop and grow and paint, passing it forward. I'm definitely thinking more about that as I do things.
Yeah, yeah, which circles back to even where we began, right? How important that is
Exactly.
to you. Yeah. And the second to last question I have for you is about dreams and tranquility. And I'm just looking over here what I'd written down. And so it's as you think about dreams or goals for the future, what is on your horizon? What is coming down the pike for you? Because I know there's always something new you're dreaming up.
Absolutely. I am wanting to work more and more on my creativity, and also again mentoring and developing others. So as my career is winding down and over the next few years, I my focus is shifting more toward those things. So I'm spending more time changing my focus of creativity and honing in. So I'm focusing more on photography and creating mixed media art. And then I do enjoy spending a lot of time in work and outside of work, coaching and mentoring people and helping them move forward in towards the dreams that they have set out for themselves and that they're developing. So I some of the things that I really like to do more of before, I'm letting that go a little bit. And if an opportunity comes up, I might jump in and dabble, but now my focus is more on these items that mean more to me for now.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. And last question, Melinda, is how do you find tranquility in your everyday? I think we've definitely talked about some ways in which you do it, but I'm curious if you have a ritual or a formula or your go-to.
That's when you said formula, which is really funny because I am very much a very list oriented. I like structure, and that is what I'm known for at work is more developing processes. But I think maybe from outside they might say differently, but I don't think I have as much of a structured formula for tranquility. It's more of a reactionary thing. Is, oh, I feel tight, or let me go outside, or here, let me pet the dog, or whatever. It's just having all of those around me and having access to those. At work, I might not have a lot of time, but I might just go stand outside in the sun for a few minutes and then come back in before the meeting or after a meeting or anything that's challenging. But seeing your beautiful flowers there, having something like that around whenever I can. I'm working from home today, so I have a candle burning, which obviously is not going to be happening at work, but having little things that are comforting to you, like we are talking about drinking our tea and making sure those kinds of things are readily available, no matter where you are, where you end up.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Melinda. It's always a treat to connect. And any final thoughts you want to share with our listeners before we close?
I think no matter what your age, no matter where you are in life, embrace who you are, be authentic. That resonates more for people than a lot of the other things that we sometimes think are important. They'll remember who you are more if you more yourself.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much, Melinda.
Thank you for having me. It's been great to see you again.